Most men hear the phrase emotional distance and think it is simply a gap they can fix by showing her more effort. But emotional distance isn't a gap, it is a signal. If she's emotionally distant right now, it's not because you haven't done enough, but because you've been trying to close a distance that was never meant to be closed by effort. And the moment you treat it like a problem to solve, you unknowingly turn yourself into the very thing her nervous system is running away from. So in this video, I'm going to show you why emotional distance is not something you overcome by leaning into her more, and how the men who do reverse her distance are doing something that looks passive on the surface, but is actually deeply grounded and powerful underneath. Before we jump in, go ahead and give the like button a tap so YouTube can find other men who need this help as well. Emotional distance hits men differently than it hits women. Men hear that phrase, emotionally distant, and immediately you feel a sense of urgency rise in your chest, with the feeling of tightening and panic. Because distance feels like loss and like the beginning of the end, when that fear hits, the instinct is almost automatically pushing you to do something. Say more to her, reach out and try harder to fix the space between you and her. For most men, connection equals getting closer and getting more interaction. When things feel good, you're going to have that warmth, you're going to have the free-flowing conversation, that sexual connection, and that shared energy. When all of that starts to fade, though, your body starts to interpret it as rejection from her, even if no one has said those words out loud. And you, as a man, are wired to restore broken systems. Inherently, if communication is dropping off at work, wherever you work, no matter what you do, you may schedule a meeting to try and get things back on track. Or if a process breaks, you try and fix it and make it better. So when your wife or partner becomes emotionally distant, your brain doesn't say, just give it some time. It starts frantically telling you to repair and close that space. But emotional distance is not a logistical problem or a misunderstanding. Emotional distance is usually a regulation issue, not just a communication issue. So when you respond to it by pulling her, pursuing, or trying to reestablish closeness before emotional safety has returned, you create an environment that makes it more likely for her to go further and further away from you. What I don't want you to start assuming is that she's doing it on purpose, and this is a decision to create this emotional distance to punish you or hurt you. Like, I don't want you to think she's really trying to punish you or choosing not to connect with you or choosing to shut down and not open up because she stopped caring about you. Firstly, it's a very high probability that it just simply isn't true, at least at the beginning, because emotional distance is rarely conscious in nature. Secondly, if you start assuming things like that, you're just going to start acting out of resentment if you believe she's intentionally trying to hurt you. And I can promise without a shadow of a doubt that any action you take with this in mind is going to harm your chances of turning this thing around. The reason I said emotional distance is rarely conscious in nature is because what it is the body creating space when emotional contact starts to feel unpredictable. More often, emotional distance means she's overwhelmed or guarded, and her body puts itself in a protective state. Think about how distance works in the body. I remember when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was in the kitchen with my mom and she was making something to eat. She had the pan on the stovetop to heat it up, and she asked me if I could check to see if the pan was hot. Now, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, so being a stupid 7 or 8 year old, instead of doing what you're supposed to do, which is like put the hand over the top and feel if it's hot or not, I put my finger out and touched the side of the pan. And yeah, it was incredibly hot, and I pulled my hand back instantly. Now, I didn't hate the stove or the pan because it was hot, but my nervous system learned that something felt unsafe. Emotional distance works the same way. She didn't wake up one day and decide to withdraw from you. She learned to withdraw over time because she kept putting her finger on the side of the pan to check the temperature of you and the environment you create. And over again, because you did not create emotional safety, her body associated closeness with tension and disappointment and with feeling unseen or misunderstood. So similar to the lesson my nervous system learned that day when I touched the actual pan, her body learned that the distance became the regulation strategy to protect herself emotionally. Does this resonate with you? Like, does this make sense? And the part I know you're struggling with right now is doing things to try and pull her back before her nervous system feels settled. But you don't feel like safety to her when you do that. I've seen this dynamic play out again and again. And the more a man tries to pull her back emotionally, the less safe she feels staying. It just feels like her burning her finger on the side of the pan over and over again. So like, imagine someone takes a step back from you. I don't know if you've ever watched Seinfeld, but there's an episode called The Close Talker. and Elaine is dating this guy who just gets right up in your personal space when he's talking to you, and he meets Kramer, and he keeps getting closer to Kramer's face and introducing himself, and Kramer subtly keeps backing away until he hits the fridge and falls down. That's the same thing that happens when you're trying to get closer to your wife or partner and trying to pull her back in. Even if your words are calm, the pressure that is being communicated by trying to pull her back does the very opposite, and it pushes her away for good until she falls down. When you're doing things to try and pull her back closer, the most common thing for you to do is focus on what you're saying to her. You tell her things like you care and you love her and you don't want to lose her, or you just go out and do nice things for her and buy her gifts. However, emotional communication happens beneath the words, and you're trying to pull her back emotionally, communicating things that you're probably not intending to. She is going to feel that you're telling her you are anxious without her close, her distance scares you, you need reassurance to feel anything close to okay, and the only way you can stabilize yourself is through her. Those are all things you do not want her feeling about you, because the more you try and secure emotional closeness externally, the less secure you appear internally. So when you stop trying to pull her back, she often feels relief because the environment that now exists emotionally is much, much quieter and calmer. There is no more uncomfortable tension or expectation. And this is important because calm is a prerequisite for attraction to return. When you start being calm yourself, allowing her to feel the same, and you stop trying to just remove that distance with force, you have to then start becoming someone who can hold that safe, calm feeling without collapsing when things get a little uncertain. Emotional steadiness and being grounded are such key aspects of creating the conditions where you can turn things around in your relationship. One reason this is hard is because calm can feel like indifference when you're scared. When you're anxious about losing her and the life you've built with her, anything short of urgency feels like you're giving up. When you are able to be calm with your presence, you're not giving up. This is leadership that communicates to her that you can handle the uncertainty without having to reach out and latch on to her. Emotional leadership does not mean closeness at all times. It means you are steady regardless of any distance. It means you don't panic when she pulls back. It means you don't over-explain to regain footing, and you don't perform change to earn proximity to her. You have to learn how to hold your center, and that center allows for emotional safety to start to form. Everything in you wants to move toward doing anything you can to pull her back to you, which is why this advice feels so counterintuitive. It felt backwards to me as well when I really learned what works, because for so long I would just do what society conditioned me to do when my relationships were going down the tubes. I would just do anything I could to grasp onto her and grasp onto anything I could to avoid losing her. And that's human. And that feeling of uncertainty you have about the outcome causes your instincts to scream for control and some reassurance. But as counterintuitive as this feels, your best chance at getting her attraction and connection back is to stop focusing on that specific outcome and start focusing on understanding how women operate emotionally and the skills you need to learn to become a better leader in your relationship. You, much like I was, have been taught by society that you have to chase her and do all these lavish things for your wife or partner if she's disconnected from you emotionally. But it's all a lie. When you stop pressuring her as she's working through her emotions and you focus on becoming a better man for yourself and the relationship, that helps let her feel relief. This is when she can start to properly process what she's feeling. And if you start showing up differently on a consistent basis while she's doing this, she's going to start to feel that. So you have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself if you are willing to change, because what you have been doing probably has not been working. That was my tipping point when my ex-fiance left me. I took a look in the mirror and I had to realize I was clearly doing something wrong, because for a decade I would keep getting the same results and it was a painful pattern. So ask yourself, if you want to learn how to be the man who can be grounded when connection is uncertain, because the answer to that question determines whether distance with her becomes temporary or defining. If this hits home for you and you realize how you've been trying to pull connection back with her and it just simply isn't working, I want you to go watch my free Relationship Rebuild Masterclass. You will learn the exact step-by-step blueprint that completely changed my life, and you'll learn how to become the man that naturally brings her connection and attraction back to you the fastest way possible. If you're ready to take that step, the masterclass is free to watch and the link is in the description below. If this video helped you out, give the like button a tap and subscribe to the channel as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.